All right, shalom, shalom. I'm going to start out this video by giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders, a great millstone that rule well, that teach well while learning truth 100% according to the Bible. Also want to say shalom to the elect, the 144,000 men, prophets, servants scattered abroad the four corners of the earth, and shalom to the Akwaf, which are the sisters that are sincere in your children. Shalom. And then today's video is going to be titled Esau is preparing for something, right? Because ultimately, a lot of you brothers and sisters, as myself, have seen in the news, they got this new C19 strand that just came out, you know, and we know what it says in the book of 2 Corinthians 2:11, right? And I'm going to get that precept, matter of fact, in the KJV. And it says, lest Satan, right, meaning our adversary, which is Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, gets an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant, right? And when you go into that word ignorant, it means basically not being foolish or not being in the know of his devices, right? And that word devices goes into his tricks, his schemes, his traps, his snares, all of the different types of things in which it is that this man comes with ultimately to try to, deceive, man, because he's the devil, at the end of the day. So, yeah, man, you got a new C19 strand that is basically coming out. And we know that ultimately we're getting into that time, man, where, hey, this devil can pull something out of his hat, man, ultimately to bring forth a false event, to ultimately implement what it is that he's trying to establish. These are the things that we know is on the horizon, man. And we know sooner or later that, as it says in Revelation 12:12, that that's going to happen, man, that this man is going to come down ferociously, man, because he knows that time is running out for him, And I'm going to go to that scripture too, matter of fact, because this is what we see building up in the earth right now. And this is what's ultimately going to happen. This devil's going to show his horns sooner or later. Right. And who knows, like I said, this thing that they're coming with, it could be something that, is just be done away with and it really doesn't be anything. Or it could be like what happened in 2019 and blow up and be something, major, man. I mean, we don't know. Right. Because at the end of the day, we know that this devil, he always has something prepared, man, or something to, try to, as it says, ordo ab chaos, man. He ultimately comes in and starts the problem, and then he comes with a solution to the problem. And then his solution is going to be ultimately that digital system, man, because we know ultimately everything he's doing is trying to do away with this old system so he can bring in that digital society so he can implement this MOTB. And we know that it will happen because it's ultimately a part of prophecy. So these things will take place just at a appointed time, of course. But we see everything that this devil is doing is ultimately trying to push to that happening, man. And we know what Kill Snake said not too long ago, and the WEF actually even said that that there's going to be, ultimately 6 billion people that could possibly perish in 2025. Klaus Schwab said that last year, so I mean, we don't know what it is that these people are ultimately going to do to try to, bring forth this chaos, man. And we know, as it says in Revelation 6:4, right, that the Lord have ultimately given this man the power to take peace from the earth, man. And he's going to do that, sooner or later, man. He's already doing that around the world with these wars that are going on and everything else. But soon to come, he's going to take peace from this place, America, man. It's coming, man. This is Revelation 6:4 in the KJV. It says, and there went out another horse that was red, that's representing Esau, Edom, right? And power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth, and that they should delete one another, and that was given unto him a great sword, right? Because when you go into the blessing that he was given, it was the sword. It tells you that in the book of Genesis, that he shall live by his sword, and that's being his technology, his weaponry, his pseudoscience, all of these different potions and concoctions. This man is the harbinger of death, man. So ultimately we know that he's sooner or later going to come in doing the things in which it is he's going to do to further his agenda, right? So I got this precept too. I mentioned it earlier. Bear with me. This is Revelations chapter 12, and I'm going to start at verse 12. It says, therefore rejoice ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is coming down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he have but a short time. And that's what these elites know, man, in these high positions, in these different buildings and, corporations and secret societies and these other groups. These people know that soon to come that their power is going to be taken away from them by the Lord, man. They understand the prophecies on the left-hand side. So they're getting ready to come down with great wrath, man. And this scenario or this event could be just what they need to ultimately, further their agenda, man, which is this new C19 strand that is allegedly coming on the scene, man. Right. So I'm gonna get another precept, just touching on that, man. I'm gonna go to 2 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 11, but I'm gonna read it in the NIV this time, right? a different translation. And it says, in order that Satan might not outwit us, right? Because when you're outwitting someone, you're basically outsmarting them, and ultimately we can't be outsmarted because we ultimately have the spirit of truth, man, which is the Rakakwadash, ultimately showing us the things in which it is that this devil is doing. A lot of people in this world, they're ultimately blinded and they cannot see the tricks that this devil is trying to lay for them, the traps, right? The snares. But we ultimately can see these things, right? So it says, for we are not unaware of his schemes, man. And this could be used as one of his schemes that he could probably try to use to, like I said, to bring in chaos, man. Just like what happened in 2019, So yeah, I'm gonna get another precept because we know this is only the beginning of evils that is gonna approach this place, man. There will be evils in the near future in this place, America, and like I said, this can be used as the callus to bring forth that evil, man, or to bring forth that division in this country. Like I said, the people in this place are already tense. They're already bugging out. They're already losing their mind due to the inflation, the tariffs, and everything else that affecting this country. Then you have something like that comes. People are just going to lose their minds. So we're getting closer and closer to ultimately Jacob's trouble and, all hell breaking loose in this place, America, man. Like, I mean, the writing's on the wall for these events, man, to take place. This is second Edges 14 and 16. For yet greater evils, right, meaning bad times, than those which thou hast seen happen shall be done hereafter, man, right? And I'm going to read verse 17 as well. It said, for look how much the world, right, shall be weakened through age, so much the more shall evils, meaning bad times, increase upon them that dwell therein. And that's talking about around the world, obviously, but ultimately in this place, America, Babylon the Great. This is going to be the center point of where all the bad times are going to take place, man, because this is Babylon the Great. And the Lord is ultimately going to plague this place the most out of all of these other countries, right? So, yeah, this place is getting ready to be plagued, man. And Esau Edom is the one that's ultimately preparing for it to happen, man. Like I said, something is going to happen. Like I said, we don't know when or how or what day or hour specifically, but we know that it's coming, man. And we can see it building up. This devil's getting ready to do something, man. Right. And that's why I got this precept right here. This is Ecclesiasticus or Sirach in the Apocrypha, chapter 12, verse 10. It says, never trust thine enemy. For like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. Right. And we know as iron gets rusteth, like the worse it gets, that's how it gets, man. It gets more worser and worser as it gets more rustier, right? That's the same thing with this devil, as we get closer and closer to his eon or his age being over, the more he's going to show those horns, man, showing that he's the devil, showing that, he doesn't have best interest for you people out there that may put your trust in him, especially you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians, who ultimately believe that this man is going to save the day and all of those different types of things. So, he's going to show his horns, man. And that's what we see happening, But yeah, like I said, that's just a quick video or something I had, Lord's willing to be edifying. Like I said, just something the Spirit spoke to me, about, this event could possibly be something that turns into something bigger, man. Like I said, and I'm going to go to a precept just touching on that, bear with me. And it's in the Apocrypha. I'm going to look it up. I believe it's Ecclesiasticus. Bear with me. All right. Bear with me, brothers and sisters. Gotta get this. This is Ecclesiasticus chapter 5, verse 15. It said, be not ignorant of anything in a great matter or a small, right? So ultimately, even though this may seem like just a small, matter that, oh man, yeah, whatever, it's just a little C19 update or a new pullout of, a different EZs or whatever the case may be. This thing can be used to ultimately alter the world, man. Just like what happened when the first one occurred in 2019. They used that whole situation, even though we know it was created by man. They used that entire situation to change the earth, man, and to ultimately get people to conform to what they wanted them to do. And they can possibly do the same thing again, man. Like I said, So yeah, that's pretty much everything I had to say with today's video. Like I said, just something quick. Lord's willing to be edifying. To the next time, I'm going to say shalom.